radio. Don't miss out on what you're passing. You're missing the previews of the movie reviews. I know those other podcasts make you buy a ticket, but come on while Bob and Ed start to kick it. Talk about the actors' stride and directors are hide, and grab some popcorn when you see them driving by. Watching all the credits, making sure that you get it. Acting kinda loco, they're just a couple brothers. Watch a bunch of movies and they talk to each other.
It's Thursday, December 15th, 2016, and this is Bob and Ed's Movie Podcast.
I'm Bob.
And I'm Ed, with special guest star...
Ryan.
All right, returning guest.
Returning guest.
Yeah, first time we've had someone on for the second time.
Yeah, oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
First time.
First
Very
time,
nice.
first second timer. So, obviously, we just got back from watching Star Wars Rogue One, and we have quite a bit to say. So, as usual, we're going to have a spoiler-free review, and then there'll be heavy spoilers in this. So,
Yeah, there's a lot of spoilers to talk about.
yes, a lot of spoilers to talk about. So, let's go with the guest first. What'd you think of this movie? Did you like it?
I did. Yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. I do think it picks up speed as it goes along. Again, we'll elaborate on that in a little bit. But yeah, I enjoyed it. Really fun time at the movies. I guess I didn't like it quite as much as Force Awakens, but there might have been some nostalgia in that too, because it had been more than a decade since we had a Star Wars movie when that came out, and they weren't too great. So that might have had something to do with it. But yeah, I think I liked Force more, but this one certainly feels like it's going to be one that grows the more you see it.
I could see that.
But yeah, all in all, I did enjoy it.
You did enjoy it. Out of 10, how?
I would give it a strong 8.
All right. Bob, how about you?
I really enjoyed it. I actually give it a 9 out of 10.
Very nice.
I was debating on the 8 or 9, but there was enough of it that it surprised me that I gave it a 9. How about you, Ed?
I think I settled on an 8. I think it was mentioned that it builds up. The first act is really, really slow and just really not, to be honest, not interesting. By the third act, it might be the best act of all the movies. I'd be hard pressed to find a more exciting act of all the movies.
I agree with that completely.
It was almost frustrating. Like, why couldn't you have just done the entire movie like this? Because I would have really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was good. It's right now it's 85 on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I kind of agree with you, Ryan, in that it's there maybe there was some nostalgia that it's not the same characters, so you don't have that attachment. So maybe it's not as you're not going to be grabbed as much,
Right.
but there's still nostalgia.
There's nostalgia. There's definitely some moments where you're like, ooh, neat.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
characters that were in other films pop up,
Yes.
Yeah, some really fun Easter eggs, for sure.
Yeah.
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 Which we can get into in more detail in a bit.
Later on. I would say of all the movies, it's the darkest, and so if you have little ones and you have to ask, is it too dark for them, then it's probably too dark for them.
There's a couple moments where I'm like 37 going, I don't know whether I can handle this.
Yeah,
film.
this is... yeah. I might get a little teary-eyed myself. This is...
Man, this theater's dusty.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it might be, especially the third act.
The
is
third
a
act is very intense.
Very intense third act. So, it's again one of those, if you have to ask, don't take them. Yeah, I can't. If you like Star Wars films, you're going to like this. We still didn't get the review. We did have someone who doesn't like the Star Wars films, and he went anyway. So we didn't get the review of his. So I can't tell you that.
That would be interesting to know.
Yes, I was kind of hoping that he would have told us whether he liked it or not.
Now, what was his dislike?
Yeah,
Star
what was
Wars?
just funny his dislike of Star Wars was, it's all about the Death Star. It's like, oh, well, then you're going to love this, because it's all about the Death Star.
Yeah, that's great.
And I know that is the complaint about, most of the movies, from 4 on is like, is this always about the Death Star or some version of it? I'm like, okay, well, this one is. So I don't know what else we could really say that's not spoilery.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of that.
Okay, it's an intense film. Don't bring little ones. It's a good. It's in my opinion, it's a good film.
It's a good
Yeah,
film.
absolutely. Yeah, really,
If you like
really
Star
well
Wars,
made.
you're gonna like it.
If you're running behind, don't worry about it. You could probably miss the first.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
first-
me, this series starts here.
Yeah.
This is the first in the series for me personally.
I could see that. I
Yeah.
could see that.
The first good one, anyway.
Yeah, and it
Chronologically.
Yeah, and it really dovetails really nice into episode
Yes.
4. This is really cool how they did it. So
It doesn't feel wedged.
no, and it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
It doesn't feel like they were like, oh well, how are we going to get to this point? Well, let's just.
Yeah, it wasn't like didn't shoehorn it.
A lot of fresh stuff too, just
Yeah.
in terms of, again, because in some ways it can work against it, I guess, because you don't have as many familiar faces. But I think it was a really well cast film for the most part.
Yes.
And I think a lot of really interesting new characters that held their own on screen really well.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
just
And
cool
we can-
new worlds and places.
Yeah,
I-
we can. Yeah, again, it's like it gets spoilery, so we'll get more details in the spoiler. But
Yes.
yeah, there's a lot to unpack in this.
Yeah,
this
there was not a lot of why'd this character do this because it's in the script.
No, I didn't-
A
I
lot
didn't
of
think-
it all kind of felt natural, and that like, okay, this character would do this, that character would do that. There's like one bit where I'm like, but
Yeah, again, yeah, it's hard to really get into it without getting into the spoilers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
this
so
has,
maybe we
this
should
is like 75% spoiler
Yeah, in the
zone.
beginning. So I don't know. There's nothing else we could really say. So warning: here be spoilers. Abandon all hopes of non-spoilers. Ye who enter here. We're getting into the spoiler territory. So
don't complain to
don't
us.
complain. Yeah,
Because
you
you're
can-
like, oh, I listened to your podcast before I watched it. It's
yeah.
like, why?
yeah, exactly.
Why did you do something
Exactly.
silly like that?
So, all right. So let's start with the spoilers. What is it that? What do we want to talk about?
I dug the fact that this film was a tragedy in a way, like the genre of it. That's not something you ever have seen really in this series.
It's actually what gave it a 9 out of 10 instead of an 8 out of 10 for me.
Right.
Because I was expecting it to be a film where it's like, oh, well, these rebels in a no-win situation, and, not to skip ahead, but it was one of those, like, not everyone makes it. Like,
Right.
Does anyone?
Yeah, it's sort of the
that's
Star
sort of
Wars
the point.
300.
Yeah.
yeah,
you
We
know?
even joked on the way home. It's like, well, that was a very Russian film.
yes.
Yeah,
Very
Everybody
Russian.
dies.
definitely.
Everyone dies.
Everyone
Literally.
dies.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was like a moment, and I think it's when what's his name, K2. When K2 starts getting shot up, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's going to make it.
they're not going to make it.
Yeah.
that's the point. It's like, how are they going to get out of this without screwing up the timeline? It's, oh, I get it. No one makes it.
Yeah.
Like, that's the point. And even I was even thinking, it's like, well, how does that capital ship with the Admiral, what's his name, who I've never heard of, like, how does he get back? Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I get it. He doesn't.
And I initially was pissed the way he went down because I was like, that was so not epic. Like, again, you guys who are listening have already seen the film, so obviously when he gets shot and he just kind of falls, it's like, well, fuck, like that could have been cooler. But then once we see the full wrap up in the Death Star, and he ends up getting to see essentially his own creation and the thing that he helped sort of
Oh yeah.
be the thing that kills him.
and
that made it worthwhile.
That is a very Russian-ish.
Yeah, and they
Soviet
did
film where
They
it's
did
like-
almost play. I kind of like that how there was almost like this feeling of pride.
Yes,
I
exactly.
kind of got that where
That's
he was looking at that. It
exactly,
was like
yeah.
a feeling of pride. Like, well, if I'm gonna go down, it might as well be that's gonna kill me.
Yeah.
And it's like,
That was cool. And that was his pride was the whole reason he was even there, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think he had to go down there to find this thing. I think he wanted to because he wanted to be able to take all the credit for this.
He wanted to take over. He wanted to be in charge of the
Yeah.
Death Star. He wanted to be his program and not Grand Moff Tarkin's program.
Yeah.
Side note, I thought that was incredible, the special effects
They did amazing job.
with him. Oh my God. And what an interesting character, too. It was like even more depth to it. It's like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah, to have that kind of performance after the actor
yeah,
has
it's like,
passed
dude's
away.
dead.
Yeah.
Dude's been dead
Dude's
for
been
a
dead
while.
for a
There was
while.
only like 2 shots where it felt a little CG.
I think I know. There was a couple where...
and I was like, oh man, if you guys would have just really brought the magnifying glass
It got
out
like
during the edit,
it got like
could have avoided
it got like
it.
shiny or something.
They got too bold. I think
Yeah.
they got too excited about how good it was doing.
Yeah.
That they showed too many shots, and if they would have cut back a couple more, it would have been perfect in my opinion. But overall, it was still.
I didn't like Leia. Leia
Yeah,
looked plastic
that-
to me. It
that
like,
was a little
That
rough.
looked very like. That looked very like. We have we ran out of money for that, but we have money for a commercial.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's use the same CG that we sold a vacuum for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tarkin got all the CG money apparently.
Yeah.
What? It's also tough sell just because you know it's fake. Like,
What,
you just
well,
know.
our thing was on the way home. We were talking is that you know who that is.
Right.
It's just like, hey, we got the plans, whatever. She doesn't have to turn around and credit.
And in
Yeah.
fact, it would have almost been better had
Yeah.
she not turned around. That way it does dovetail into Star Wars where
Yeah.
you don't
I
see
agree.
who she is.
I agree.
You still are like, who is she?
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah,
You
they
don't
might
see
be
it.
trying to show off too much with their
you're
CG.
showing too much. Yeah, take it back a notch, and then that way it goes right into it. You're still like, yeah, I'm still like 40 minutes into the stupid second film, and I still know who she is. It's
Right.
like, oh, you're the princess. Oh, I get it.
Okay, yeah.
I get it.
That would have been a good idea.
Yeah, I think they didn't need to do that. We knew who she was.
Just overall filming technique, which actually could have been pre-spoiler. Was it extremely dark?
I was like,
And
the first,
I'm like, I am glad
the
I'm
first-
not watching this
yeah.
in 3D.
the first, at least the first act. I
Yeah.
thought the same thing. It was like, how dark is this movie?
That was the first act.
And it's like, I felt as though like the first act was almost like out of focus. Like,
I couldn't. My issue is I was having contact issues. Also, so I'm like,
No,
am
I was
just seeing
checking
this
my
movie?
glasses too.
Yeah,
I wonder if it was something to do with the print that they were showing.
maybe it was the project. It's one of those things where
It's
we're
a
gonna have
4K projector. I mean, you'd think that they would like have that figured out, but yeah, that first act was like,
Never-
what is happening?
It was, and there was a lot of information to try to sort of jam in there early on. I think that's why it did like
It
take
felt
a while
slow
to get.
because they were like doing a lot
There
of
was
like,
a
let's
lot
introduce
of-
a lot of these characters. But even it was the first act, and even part of the second act where they're on the planet with her dad again, where it's like because
The rainy planet,
the rainy planet,
Okay.
because the
Yes.
first planet where it's all like
the Jedi, the Kyber Crystal Temple thing.
so many planets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the fact that they did subtitle them. Like, hey, we're
tell
on
you
this
where we
planet.
are.
They're
This
like,
is where
thank
we are.
you.
It's true because I would have been
Not only like the subtitle, but like below it is like, okay, this is what
This is what
Yeah,
it is.
this is
So,
what
like,
they
this is
it's
what
funny.
they do. I was like,
Oh,
oh, okay,
okay.
cool.
That was cool too to see a lot of that side of it again. We're getting to see things that we haven't really seen yet in the series.
Because as far as you know, it's like I think the only Emperor bad guy thing that you see in the first, episode 4 is the Death Star. That's it.
Right.
Yeah, that's
I don't
true.
even think you see a. Do you?
don't
You
get to
do
see the
see
full
a Star
presence.
Destroyer at the very beginning, and I think
Right.
that's it. You see that one of those, and
Yeah.
you don't even see a Star Destroyer. I think through the rest of the film.
That's
You know.
interesting.
And
Yeah,
this
you're
one,
right.
it's all like.
There's Star Destroyers everywhere.
Well, the scale of this was just
Yeah.
massive.
Yeah.
Well,
And that
you
was
got to see
wonderful.
that the Empire is not just one planet.
Right.
yeah.
But it's several. It's like this planet is where we just keep our archives.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's
Like,
a force to be reckoned with for sure.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
they did a really good job with that, with the scale,
Yeah,
and just
that
the
was really
geography
cool.
of everything, and
That
how
was
they're
really
going
cool.
after it.
It made it feel more lived in.
It did.
What made me feel really interesting in that, like, lived in rural, this is kind of real world, was the Temple planet,
Yeah.
where like all of a sudden, like, a fight breaks out, basically in the middle of the street, and they're like, "Hey, we're just gonna go here and we're gonna do the." Oh God, we're in the middle of like
really.
a battle, and like kids are crying, and you're like, "Yeah, this is probably pretty much like."
Yeah, what would be a rebellion? You know, when you have different factions or rebellions doing this stuff. Yeah.
You just be, hey, I'm gonna go milk. I'm gonna get blue milk down the street, and
boom, all of a sudden there's whatever, and it's all because of Forrest Whitaker's going crazy. I thought that was a waste.
Me too.
There was something that I didn't like. I did not like Forrest Whitaker's character. Thought it was like a waste of Forrest Whitaker.
Such a cool character
like,
in terms of the design and the.
He was cool. His assistant, which like dies way too early,
Yeah.
he was cool. It was like, I wanted to see more of those guys. The one dude in the Imperial biker armor that was all painted black. Did you see that? It was like that dude's like in Imperial Scout gear, but it's painted black. It's like what's up with that?
Yeah, just like just a moment and then it's gone.
It's gone, and then they like unceremoniously die.
I wonder if Gareth Edwards, you know, I mean, he didn't write the screenplay, but you know, he did the Godzilla, the most recent Godzilla film, and he sort of in my opinion, he sort of underused Bryan Cranston in that film.
Well, Bryan
for as
Cranston
amazing
even
as
talked
he
about
was.
how in that film, he's like, wait, I died at this point? Like, this is not where I should die in the film.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm not a super huge fan of Godzilla, the newest
Me
one.
neither. I mean, it was.
I almost want to watch it just so I can do an episode, just so I could shit all over it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's
I'm
very.
not-
It's an okay monster movie, but I think. Well, there's a lot of problems with that.
that's another.
We'll save that for another
Yeah,
thing. But I
we
just
can-
wonder because it is that same filmmaker. I wonder if I don't know if it's a thing.
I think the issue is just like they kind of came up with like a concept of like how they all get together involving
Which
that
I
guy, but
don't-
it was just like, well,
I don't know if you necessarily needed that.
you don't need this. Like maybe it was one of those like, hey, we want to introduce this really cool character,
And
but
it
then
was
they were
cool,
like,
and then just
and it could have been like, oh no, we filmed like another hour of him like
doing things,
doing
and
things,
doing
and
this,
then-
and
But see, that brings me to one of the reasons why I gave it an 8 and not a 9. One of the big reasons for me was I felt the most emotional weight I felt from a character death in the film was the droid.
yeah. Oh, by far.
And
That's not even close.
And I think that's a problem because
It was-
Yeah.
there's so many key characters going down.
That's actually what I liked was like you got that one because that was one of those like I think that was the first one where I went none of them are going to survive.
yeah, that was
and then at that point it was just like okay, well I've already mentally prepared myself
Right.
so anyone else dies because I believe he dies and then the pilot dies.
Right.
I think it's in that order, but
But
it
even
doesn't matter.
before with Forrest and Mads Mikkelsen,
I figured Maz-
which was the second actor that was completely wasted in this film.
the fact
Yeah.
that he's thinking in two scenes.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
one of them was that. Another problem I had was that his hologram message
Yeah.
is like, dude, you're rambling. You sound like someone testifying.
Right.
It's like, just,
Yeah, I wonder if-
Just tell her what you need to tell her. I mean, maybe instead of like going through how you felt for the last 16 years, you could just tell her how to destroy the Death Star. I mean,
Right.
I was
Hey,
really
I
taken
love
out
you,
of it.
but-
I was really taken out of
Yeah,
it.
but again, I put it back on the filmmaker, on Gareth Edwards, because he's really only done monster films. He did a film called Monster, which is
yeah.
what got him to be able to do Godzilla, and then this was his next movie after that. He hasn't done a lot of emotionally heavy material, so he doesn't have a lot of experience with that. And I wonder if that was certainly played a part in him not being able to execute those as well.
Maybe it just looked good on the script. I mean, when you read it, maybe it looked good, but if Mads Mikkelsen can't deliver that, where I'm not going, ugh.
Then
I mean,
nobody
it's
can.
no
Yeah,
one's
and he's tremendous.
Yeah, he's tremendous, and yeah, that's two actors that are just like, wow, you wasted really good talent
Yeah.
for things that really weren't. I don't know. It just
What I liked about it, like Forrest Whitaker, he was very a compliment to Darth Vader, where it's like he needed the respirator.
I love
And
that
he was-
shot of him walking.
Yeah, and he realized it's like he's more machine than
Yeah.
human or whatever he's supposed to be, and it was just like, oh, that would be really cool if at some point he also like battled Darth Vader in a mechanical type.
You want
thing.
to see more of them, yeah.
Yeah, you would want to see
there.
that.
There was that cool scene where he took the breath and he's breathing in, and almost like the pilot's like, "Oh my God, you're just like him."
Yeah.
Like you're just like Vader. And it's,
Yeah.
kind of scared. Like, what have I done? It's like I've just traded one Vader for another.
Yeah, it's
Right.
because that was the whole thing. He was supposed to be extremist on the other, and it's
Yeah.
all like,
Yeah, it's like you go too far for the cause on either side, and you might become a bit lost.
Yeah, which I guess is what they were trying to do, but I don't know. Maybe it is footage that's just lost that they had to take out because they don't want to have already it was a 2-hour and 19-minute movie,
Right.
so they probably didn't want to add another hour to the first act.
Right, it's true. Because again, in the beginning, it was kind of dragging.
It was slow,
and then by the end, I was like, "Don't end," because it builds so well.
That was incredible.
near the end, I was like, "Don't end." Well, you ran out of characters. So.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
true, and it literally is the moment before A New Hope, essentially, when this ends.
Yeah.
And the Vader, the whole Vader thing at the end was just lovely.
Yeah.
But it does lead to the work. Actually, it was one of the major issues I had was Vader's HQ. Where all of a sudden I'm like, "Are we in Mordor? Did we step in the Hobbit?" I feel like this is Mordor. Like what? Huh? What's going on? And then you realize what it is, and you're like, okay. Wait, why is he there?
Yeah, why
is he on that planet as his headquarters? And then why is this entire dialogue going on?
Yeah, why are we doing this?
Because and then it leads to one of an Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah,
line
why didn't you say
joke.
"Ice to see you"? Everybody chill.
Because he says that joke about choking.
Oh
and
my
it was just
God.
oh my God.
Yeah, that was a bad moment.
That was bad.
That
Because it
was
didn't
a
come off
shame.
because it didn't come off intimidating.
No,
It came
was just
off
punny.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that was the thing. It was a pun. And this is the dude that just
Vader
chokes. He just chokes somebody in the middle of a generals meeting in the episode 4 for disrespecting the Force.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's just wait, you're just gonna choke this guy and as a pun? No.
Yeah.
And even then, he was choking the other dude and it was Grand Moff Tarkin that caused him to
Yeah.
let go. It would have been awesome if Vader was choking him and Grand Moff Tarkin is the one who's
Vader?
Vader.
Yeah.
Would you stop it?
Well, it's like they wanted to get that moment, but they had enough of that moment with the end, with his whole bit throwing people into
Oh
the
my
roof.
God, that was so
rad.
cool.
That was super cool.
That was so cool.
So they didn't need to force it earlier in the film. I think they could have let it, and it might have even been even more epic to see it for the first time when he goes in there and just starts wreaking havoc.
Yeah.
I still think it would have been nice and it would have been cool to Empire where you could choke him. I'm okay with that. But do it through a video screen. There's the Death Star and they're having the whole conversation they got. Have him talk to Grand Moff Tarkin, then decide to go to Vader because he's a whiny little bitch, and go to Vader over view screen because Vader's ship is just hanging out by the Death Star, whatever. Does the view screen communication, whatever, and then Vader chokes him. And because even then, if you choke him through the view screen and he says that line, it probably comes off actually even better instead of the sideways angle
That
that
weird
they have, that
angle.
weird angle
Yeah.
where it's just whatever. And it would have been better if whatever, dude, just had some assistant behind his shoulder in the very Empire kind of way where he's just standing there looking at the dude pass out and he's all
Yeah, it
all
was
right, because then it would have been a callback to that, him choking somebody to death. Because then you're
guess.
we've seen him choke somebody to death over a view screen. Is he going to actually choke this dude? Nope.
Yeah.
That entire scene was. I'm not even sure what the point of.
It was really just we're gonna reveal that he is gonna be in this sort of moment.
Yeah, because they actually.
But then they didn't have. I mean, since we had that Empire scene where you see him with just a helmet off, I don't know why they need to go super far with him being in
That milk chamber.
that chamber. I don't know what that was.
Yeah.
I guess maybe it's supposed to be a callback or
I
or
think
something
it was a call.
to Luke being in there.
That's what I got. It was a callback.
I guess,
to
but
that.
it was like, this isn't like the right place for that. I didn't.
I found it very-
The entire scene just seemed like it was really shoehorned in. I mean, even Vader's like, "Why are you here?" And it's like,
Right.
well, we're asking the same thing. Why are you there?
And that was the point. It was like when you have a character telling you, like, "Why is this scene here?"
Yeah, when even the script is
Yeah,
like, "We're
the
not sure
script-
why this guy's
Yeah.
here." It's like,
That's
maybe
when
you
you
should
have
cut
to
that out. Yeah, cut
Consider
that out.
that again.
Yeah, had they just cut it out? I mean,
I don't think it would've
anything
noticed.
would we have noticed?
Because I think it would have been like him ended up showing up. Because Grand Moff Tarkin's the one that's all like, make sure that like there is nothing, whatever. Then he just shows up or whatever, going, I'm going to send all the communiques, like whatever. And
There was no Vader didn't do anything to him later, so there was no reason that there was
no
nothing set up.
repercussions
Yeah, there was
or-
there was no setup for that.
And Vader didn't like task him to do something
Yeah,
like go
it
to
was-
this planet to make sure.
Yeah,
there's-
I mean, even to some extent, it almost made it's like, Vader says, "Go back and take over this, the Death Star," and then he's like, "So I'm in charge of the Death Star?" Almost like Vader's like, well, I don't know who's in charge of the Death Star. Why are you
Yeah.
asking me?
And then it's like, who's in charge?
It's not
and
my
what's
line,
happening?
It's not like it's not my deal.
Yeah, that was
Why did you come to me to ask for this? I don't even know. What did the Emperor say?
right.
Ask him. It's not my job. It's not my job, man.
How about it was a cool little Easter egg to see the good old Pignose character and his
Yeah,
buddy
that
from
was
the
kinda funny.
cantina scene. Just a quick little moment, but
that was quick.
Although they were on a
Planet that
their
blew
planet
up.
blew up, so there's like, wait a minute.
That's a little weird too. You know what? I never thought of that. That didn't dawn on me because I guess I'm not like trying to think about what's going to happen to those
It would have been
guys.
better if you saw like
them taking
ships,
off. Yeah,
them
Yeah.
taking off, or
yeah, that was.
I something that like totally didn't bring up, and I just kind of want to go backtrack. What's the main guy's name?
Who, Diego Luna's character?
Yeah.
What is his name?
Cassian Andor.
Something with a K.
It's actually a
Cassin.
C.
Yeah,
Cassin-
Cassin Andor.
Yeah, that dude straight up murders somebody.
Yeah, he just murdered that
It was
dude.
that was
Yeah.
that was actually one of the reasons why I got it higher than it did, because I'm like,
He's like,
Oh,
oh,
wow.
don't worry, you don't have to worry about climbing out there. Blast.
Blast.
It's like he just
you just straight up
Yeah.
murdered somebody.
blasted that dude.
Yeah, that was.
It was just like,
Like,
wow.
did you really need to do that?
This is well. Here's the thing. It does make it where and near the end where they're like, we've done bad stuff for the rebellion. We saboteurs and like
Yeah.
whatever, and like you already saw that he is like, okay, you're
Yeah, sort of the mercenary that's
You're-
willing to.
you're the I want world peace, but I'm the type of person that can't live in that world. Very much the operative in Serenity, where it's like I want a perfect world. I shouldn't be there, but
Yeah, oh, that's true. I'm not supposed to be there.
Yeah,
when
yeah.
when I get it.
yeah, when we get this, I don't exist.
Yeah, I don't
Like,
exist.
Yeah.
and that's what I kind of got from him, and that like I do bad things for the rebellion. That
And he does end up like later saying that of all the things I've done, and even like all the other people that were in the Rogue Squadron. It's like we've all done stuff that we shouldn't do, and we need to atone for it. Hey, just real quick because we haven't mentioned it. Alan Tudyk is pretty good at.
Yes.
He's the number 2 motion capture guy there.
Yeah.
that's true.
It's like him and what's his nuts.
Andy
Adam
Serkis.
Andy Serkis. They should have like a battle.
Andy Serkis is the king. I
He's
have
the king,
to, I
yeah,
have
but
to
then-
give it to Serkis on
But
that
then
one.
Alan Tudyk is really close.
Yes, he is. He is.
He's like, this is, he's the only reason to watch iRobot,
That is
Right.
true.
and he was pretty good in this. That was pretty incredible.
Yeah, he was wonderful. Yeah.
He was-
Just
he was-
character design too. I mean, again, a lot of new creatures and things, and droid design, and just getting to see new stuff, expanding on that world, and it's so vast that you want to see that. You want
What,
to see
what
new
I liked
stuff.
was, and that was it's an issue I actually have with episode 1, 2, and 3, where it's all like, how's that seem like more advanced stuff than we see in later films?
Yes.
Well, this one, like, at no point was all like, wait, this happens just before episode 4.
Right.
That nothing seemed like out
out
of
of place. Yeah.
I agree.
It was like, okay, well, the droids seem like droids. The rebellion seems like rebellion.
Yeah.
Gold leaders.
Had the
gold leader.
retro future style
Yeah, yeah,
going
yeah.
really well.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That was pretty cool.
I love the Easter eggs of the like gold leader and
Gold leader, red leader.
Yeah. Absolutely.
all
I'm
that
going
there.
in.
Yep, that was pretty cool.
which I'm like, did they just replay the?
Yeah, they just replayed the stuff from Star Wars. I noticed that. We're starting to talk
because there was a couple things where I'm all like, okay, did they try to CG or did they just straight up like?
We're just gonna splice it in there.
We're just splice it in. I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, works for me.
Let's see. What else do we have here?
The battle on the beach was just amazing. Again,
That was
third act.
That was
The entire third act is like I think
Yeah.
what redeemed the film so much.
So
for
much,
me.
so much. That's why I think it's going to get better and better each time, because I think we will be able to appreciate some of the things that maybe kind of just went by or weren't too impactful the first time on a second viewing.
Plus,
But that
I want
third act.
I do actually want to see the film again just to see if like another theater has the same level of blackness.
Yeah, maybe that's why we didn't like the first two acts.
Because there were so many times where I'm like, what's going on?
No,
What
something
is-
was up, because I was tripping too. I'm glad you guys mentioned something, because I honestly thought like, am I tired? I don't feel tired. And I was like cleaning my glasses. I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah, it was pretty. Yeah, it was like, was it just the fact that we're sitting off to the side? Was it,
That might have been what it was too.
But there's so much, and that we don't know that. I haven't been to that theater in 3 years.
That's true. Yeah,
But-
we've been
Definitely
seeing,
worth another view to see that, and it's worth another view anyway. Just
Yeah,
for the
if
overall-
anything,
for the third act.
just for that third act. Yeah,
I mean,
just
to
want
see
to
the
watch that.
walkers on the beach. I mean, just the battle. I mean, this was the most war-heavy film by far. Like I know you guys mentioned
Wow.
earlier.
Yeah, that was Doug Benson from Doug Love's Movies reference that like this is a war film.
Yeah, this is a war film.
Yeah,
You know?
And it really felt that when you watch it as that way, it was like, yeah, you can really feel how this is a war film.
yeah.
I
And they did it well. They did it very, very
Yeah,
well.
they did it well.
The action side of things, again, which I think that's a strong suit for that filmmaker.
Yeah.
is the,
I don't know if I particularly cared for the meeting that they all had where Jyn Erso was trying to rally the rebellion. That kind of felt
and they
a
all
little-
kind of went like, nope.
No, thank you.
yeah, it was like the Braveheart speech kind of moment.
Yeah,
Because what was
like
weird,
that.
it was it almost came across as like we kind of don't believe you, but we want to give up because if you're true, it's like
yeah,
wait,
it was
wait,
really
wait.
weird. I mean, even they were like, "What is your solution?" Your solution
Yeah.
sounds like you're just giving up.
Right.
that doesn't seem like being an
That's
option.
not a solution.
That's not really a solution. Yeah, I didn't like, especially it just seemed kind of out of place after she kind of just had that major speech with what is his name? God, I swear.
I don't
Cassian Andor.
Yeah.
Where when they have it's like you were gonna kill him, and it's
I didn't.
I like that. I liked a lot of what she said. Like deny it. It's like it said blah blah blah. It's like, do you think that makes it okay?
Right, right.
Like it's like I'm still not gonna forget about this.
Yeah, and that scene
And it was
works.
like, oh damn.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm not gonna just go, oh well, but then like later on she just kind of goes, oh well.
Yeah, which is interesting.
Yeah, it was because it was such a good. I really like that scene. It was like, oh wow, this is really gritty and it really came. I thought it really came off well, and
I
then
thought so too.
and then they're all rah rah.
Yeah, and then everybody's
Yeah,
down.
rah, we're gonna go get them together. Hooray!
So I don't remember the character's name, but the blind guy.
That would be oh boy,
Yeah, how do you say that?
Shurit Imwe.
Sure.
Sure, it's
Well,
Donnie Yen.
Donnie Yen. So Donnie Yen. Well, first of all, it's a really cool character. Obviously,
Yes.
Executed really well as far as like the overall character. I didn't love his performance all the time. As an actor, I felt he was sort of forcing it a bit from time to time.
I can see that.
I didn't buy him all the time, which was a bit of a bummer because it is such a cool character. I do think he did it well.
He
It
was slipping into caricature a couple times.
Yes.
No, I think I know what
Absolutely.
you're talking about.
I think that was my issue with it, and I guess sort of his partner in crime had the same issue from time to time. Even though again, that was another really badass character.
Yeah, Baze
that gun.
Malbus.
Yes, that
Yeah, that
gun
gun.
setup was just
That was
sick.
awesome. Just like, oh,
And again,
super
such a nice idea, a unique idea in that universe of
Yeah.
okay, it's a machine gun, but it's firing laser bolts. What would that look like? It's like, oh, I see you got some sort of thing on your back.
Like a
to do it.
space Gatling gun.
Space Gatling gun.
Space Gatling gun.
like Jesse the Body Ventura and Predator. Awesome.
Yeah, that was super epic. And again, they were very innovative with stuff like that. I thought a lot of those moments worked well. And again, awesome parts of the battle to be able to like really get to see that used.
Yeah, Chirrut. And Chirrut occasionally using the Force. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Especially when they're in the the rainy thing and he's waiting for that TIE fighter for just the right moments. Like, think I'm gonna get it just so it'll spin out of control and wipe it. I was like, oh my god, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I just gotta wait now.
Yeah.
And
there he goes. Yeah, that was.
He was a really awesome character.
Definitely.
Both of them were.
The Orson Krennic, which is played by Ben Mendelsohn.
Yes, Ben Mendelsohn. Yes.
Okay, yeah. I actually found him to look a little too much like Grand Moff Tarkin. It's like you guys, and there were some scenes where it's like you guys just look like brothers.
Actually, what's funny about
I don't know if that's
was,
supposed to be that way, but it's like
I don't know whether it was supposed to be. What was funny was when I first saw a shot of him from the film, I went, "Oh, cool! He's playing Grand Moff Tarkin."
Right.
Like, no joke. I literally thought he was going to play Grand Moff Tarkin. I was like, "Oh well, yeah, he's pretty good." Like, side by side, you're going to be like, "Oh well, they're not the same person." But I'm like,
Yeah.
come on, like that's all. And then like I'm watching the film, like, oh, he's not Grand Moff Tarkin, but Grand Moff Tarkin's in this film. That's awesome.
Right.
Was
he felt a little underused as well, and a bit too sort of the obvious tribes of a villain character.
He definitely seemed like he had to show. It was one of those like he had to show up at the same location that the main characters were showing up to, but he never planned on being there at the same time as them. It just he just randomly
he
happened.
did that. Yeah, he did that multiple times, huh?
Yeah,
it just kind of worked out.
It's like I'm just like, whoops, I'm here.
I wish there were some more layers to the character because Ben Mendelsohn's a wonderful
great
Australian
actor.
Yeah,
Oh.
absolutely wonderful, and I just felt like again slightly missed opportunity.
I've enjoyed him in other things.
Yeah, me too. Dude, Killing Him Softly, he was just tremendous in. Like he was the best part of that movie for me.
I really liked him in Place Beyond the Pines.
Oh yeah, wonderful.
Yeah.
Absolutely wonderful.
And he makes a random really good appearance in I think the second season of Girls.
Really? I didn't
It's the
even know
second
that.
season.
He's tremendous on Bloodlines too on Netflix.
I haven't watched that.
He is absolutely incredible. Like he makes that show.
Nice. And then that was one of the things that was like kind of exciting me. It was just like, oh yeah, Forrest Whitaker and Ben
Mendelsohn.
And then it's like, oh, which for whatever reason I didn't realize he was in this film until like 2 days ago.
Right. Yeah.
It was just like I was listening to a podcast or somebody, and they were like, "Oh yeah, no, he's really good in it." I'm all like,
He's in it?
"He's in this?"
Yeah, I didn't know he was in it either.
I was like, "Oh, okay."
Good year for him between this and Doctor Strange. He's had some big ones pretty close together.
Yeah, no kidding. I was thinking the same thing. It's like a couple of these actors have been in.
That's how it goes, man. Just
The
back
same
to
thing
back
with
to back.
Forrest Whitaker. I mean, he's in this, and he's also in Arrival.
Yeah.
It's good years for some of these guys. Let's see what else we have to.
I did like random Jimmy Smits appearance.
Yeah, Jimmy Smith.
Yeah, made his little cameo.
Yeah.
That was nice.
I do find
Riz was good. Riz Ahmed was wonderful, I thought.
As the pilot.
Yes.
Yeah, I was really bummed that he died. I thought, he was really cool.
Yeah, really,
Yeah, I
really
really-
interesting role. I think he's really shown his ability between going from Nightcrawler to Night Elf.
I
and now
forgot
this.
he was. Oh my
He's
god,
in
that
Nightcrawler.
Yeah, he's his
Oh
like
my God,
partner.
yes.
Yeah, he's wonderful. He's a wonderful actor.
Oh,
I think
because,
he
he was
fits
great.
What he,
That-
that's
that's
what he
right.
was.
I know.
Dang it.
I know.
Now you
I
know.
didn't realize. It's
I'm
like,
pissed I
So
didn't
when you
realize-
watch it again,
Yeah.
you will
Yeah.
appreciate it even
no, I'll
more.
be even more upset because I was upset he
man.
died in
That was
Nightcrawler.
actually-
Spoiler alert!
Spoiler for
Spoiler.
Nightcrawler as well.
Spoiler, he died. Yeah, he dies in Nightcrawler.
I do find it funny that they used the same actress they got for episode 3 to play Martha, my grand.
Mon Mothra.
But yeah,
Oh, yeah.
But what I find funny is her scenes were cut out of episode 3, So she's never actually in the official release.
So she was saved,
but it was just
residuals, I guess.
Yeah.
no
actually,
kidding.
I think she probably still gets residuals.
Yeah, she might. You never know.
Mothma.
Yeah, but it was just like because when she pops up, I'm like, wow, she really looks like the.
Yeah, she
she's
does.
Like, oh yeah,
she does
apparently she looked like that 10 years ago. Also, because
that's funny.
Was that character you mentioned to me earlier, Ed? Was that character?
No, he wasn't in there. Now
Okay.
I realize the character I was talking about.
I was looking for. I'm like,
that character is going to be, I think, in the Han Solo film.
I
think
see.
about it.
Nice.
It's the character from Star Wars Rebels. Shoot, I have to go look it up. Like another super cool character. He's blue and has red eyes.
So we're going to see him
awesome.
in a live. We'll see a live action version of that character eventually.
We're definitely going to see it.
We're going to be getting a Star Wars movie every year now.
So in 2 years, I think we see the Han Solo one, and that's where we're going to see.
Yep.
which I'm super excited for because Donald Glover
Yeah.
is in it.
Yeah, Lando, right?
Lando.
Young Lando. I like the selection for Han too. I think Alden's a great actor as well.
I've only seen him in Hell Caesar?
Which I thought he was great in. Did you?
I didn't like that film.
Oh, you didn't
So
like Hail
that-
Caesar? Well, we won't get into that on this.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
He hasn't seen it, but it was just like.
It was just one of those I haven't had a chance.
Yeah, it's out there. It's
Well, actually, we did review it real quick. I believe my description was, it's like a lot of Coen Brothers films. I watched it in a theater and didn't like it. And then I watched it 8 more times at home and really enjoyed it.
yeah. They do grow. That's for sure.
So I
They
haven't
do.
seen it yet, since I got back. But I have a feeling it's like, because other people have said like, oh no, it's really good. I'm like, maybe I just didn't get it.
Right.
And that's okay. Sometimes you like,
And that's how it goes.
shoot, like how many films have we reviewed where it's all like, we liked it, then we watched it on like DVD like 6 months later and we're like, ugh.
Speaking of that, I have to retract my 7 that I gave Suicide Squad the last time I was here. I gave it another watch and was just like, God damn, the script sucks.
Really?
I couldn't. I would change it to a 5 after watching.
Oh
it
wow,
second
it
time.
lost 2.
Yeah.
Wow.
I watched it
not
again
bad.
and was just like, wow. Like after the sort of the
Now here's the question:
shock value was gone.
Did you what you see was that like the theatrical release or was it some weird?
I watched the extended cut.
This is an issue that I've talked to other people where it's all like they watch a film again, but it's not the theatrical release, and they're like, no, it is actually worse.
Yeah.
Like,
for
they're-
example, the newest Ghostbusters, which is funny that I'm going to bring up the Ghostbusters since it seems a very contentious thing. I liked the theatrical version, and we got the DVD and watched the director's extended cut.
Right.
And it's like I actually would kind of even turn to Tina. I was like, was that like significantly worse than it was in the movie? It's like, yeah, and it's because they cut things out, and you could tell they changed the tone of like the entire movie by making just small cuts here and there, and then adding in a couple scenes that it's like, well, those are just okay, but yeah, it's like this is not even close to being as good as.
Yeah,
as,
you wonder how that works. But in other cases, it can work.
It can help, but like we watched, both of us, I believe, watched the director's extended version of Straight Outta Compton,
which was a little long,
and it felt a little long.
It felt a little long.
It was just like, oh,
and I think it's
probably,
an extra like 20 or 30 minutes
yeah,
or something.
and I bet it was just
And-
like, oh well,
And that was one of my negatives, and it's like, I think you watched the extended version. And I went and looked it up, and it was like, I guess I must have, because it lasted about a half an hour longer than I thought it was going to. It's
Right,
Like,
that's
that's what it
interesting.
was. And it's like, oh, well, I based my rating on what I saw, and it's if that was too long, then maybe that's, because no one else had that complaint. Like, oh, man, it just went on and on and on. It's like,
Interesting.
everyone else is like, what are you talking about?
Peter Jackson, though, his extended cuts, for me.
The Two Towers, the extended cut is so good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Return
so
of the King,
much.
too.
And now, see, I thought it was good, but not. I mean, just to me, the difference between the theatrical cut of Two Towers and the extended version of Two Towers, I mean, it's a significant. As in, what's my favorite of the Lord of the Rings movies? The theatrical one, it's Return of the King. If I get to do the extended one, it's Two Towers.
Interesting.
Just because of all the character development they do with
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
It's been so long, I can't remember all the characters' names.
Right.
With Bromir and Thoromir, especially Thoromir, I mean, you get all that, like, oh, well, that's why he's doing it, and that's why he did that, and that's why he's doing that, and there's just so much character. Yeah, it's like so much character development. Getting back to Star Wars Rebels, it was Grand Admiral Thrawn, and it's Lars Mikkelsen is the voice. And let me see if Lars Mikkelsen is anyone of any significance. Yeah, I think he's
voice actor.
I think he's like a Euro. I think. Yeah.
So we will see a live action version of that character in the Han Solo movie. Supposedly.
I hope.
Well, we'll find out. But
We will.
well, I think we've killed this film.
I think we have too.
Yeah.
I don't know what else we can really talk about.
I think we hit all the main points. All in all, definitely go see it.
Definitely
it's
see it.
Fun time at the movies.
Yeah.
I will be
I
purchasing
enjoyed it.
this movie for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see.
All right.
See if there's any updates here on if we get a. Oh my god. Okay, so no serious ratings here so far. Oh, look at this. Probably like a. It sounds like Greg maybe gives it a 8 out of 10. So a person that
doesn't like Star
doesn't
Wars
like Star
because
Wars.
of Death Star.
Interesting.
Yeah, liked what he saw. So even people that don't particularly like Star Wars would like this movie. Probably just because of the third act
The third act is so good.
Cannot like express
So good.
like how good it is and how non-traditional.
It's a non-Hollywood.
Yeah, it's a it's the
very European-ish.
It's like Black Hawk Down, only if no one survived.
Yeah.
Instead of like somehow everyone feels like they managed to survive. Yeah, this is the opposite, where it's like, oh, well, like none of you survived, and I get the feeling that none of you thought you were going to survive. So,
Right.
There was the one last thing that was bugging me on the way home is Vader captures a capital ship, the main cruiser,
Right.
and then goes after, in episode 4, goes after Leia and gets Leia and takes her back to the Death Star.
Right.
And, we have to find out where the Rebel base is. And it's like, well, you got an entire capital ship filled with people. One of them is going to reveal as Yavin 4 before Leia will. Are you telling me like they all killed themselves?
Right, yeah.
Like,
why was
like,
she the only
why
one?
was she the only one that was going to be able to tell them where Yavin 4 was? The entire ship was filled with people. There's got to be like some cook or something. He was like, hi.
The cook spoils it all.
Yeah, exactly. There's got to be some guy who's disgruntled about where he's at, and he joined the rebellion and it didn't go the way he thought,
Just making soup.
he's like I didn't join the rebellion to be a cook, and they're like, that's all I am is a cook, and that's all I've ever done is like just make food for all these people, and like I haven't shot a guy in a white suit yet, and. When Vader shows up and it's like, where's the
Rebel base?
It's Yavin 4. I don't give a
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck about these guys.
I could see that. That's a valid thing.
And it's like, I mean, it's it'd be different if it was maybe X-wing pilots or whatever. It's like they're all gun ho, but you got a full ship. I mean, you're gonna find somebody.
I love them shooting. I just loved the fact, because I had the thought as we were watching the ending, I'm like, well, they have the Death Star. If there's a chance that this information could get out, why don't they just blow the place up? And that's exactly what they do.
That's exactly what they did.
Which is was a really nice moment, because so often in big studio films you have these moments that are just so common sense for like everybody in the audience.
Yeah.
And they don't do it.
Yeah, it's like, why don't you just blow up the city? It's like,
And
let's
this one
blow up
does.
the city.
Let's blow
Oh
up the
shit,
city.
they're gonna blow up the city.
Yeah. So
Which at point you're like, if there was any chance of them surviving,
Yeah, it's like
It's gone.
Also, side note, I thought that was incredibly cool. when the Admiral has "Get me a Hammerhead cruiser, I have an idea," and then pushes the disabled Star Destroyer to the other one. It's like, son of a bitch, that was awesome.
Yeah, it was. It was.
What a cool! I just love like everyone just hanging on. It's like brace yourself,
Yeah.
everyone.
Awesome.
this is
sure.
gonna be interesting.
I love the Admiral feeling very Akbar-ish as well.
Yes.
Like it wasn't Admiral Akbar, but like clearly the same,
Yes,
type
it's
of
like
creature.
they all had the same like mindset, but
I think the same voiceover, the same voice.
it kind of seems similar, but like different enough where it was like, okay, maybe that's just the way they all sound.
It's one of those like, was it somebody else trying to do an Admiral Akbar
impersonation.
I don't know.
That way
It's
it's
like-
like it sounds
But it
close.
was cool anyway.
It was still, it was.
I got an idea.
And I even did kind of think how he's just sitting in that chair and it's like just glass everywhere. He's like, I'm just watching this shit.
checking it out,
Just checking this out. Like, what a badass. He's just like hanging out. Like, I think you should step away from the window. Yeah.
Yeah, leave it to the guy that looks like a fish to suggest a hammerhead.
I got a great idea. What's cool is those ships are in Star Wars Rebels.
That's cool.
Like possibly that ship is tied into, like, you get to see when Leia helps steal those ships, because there's like 3 or 4 ships that look like that.
Wow.
And
so they're really intertwined.
yeah, so yes, really intertwined. So it's funny that they picked that out, because it's like, oh shit, I think I remember the episode where Leia helped steal that ship, like that ship in particular, because they only had like 3 of them.
And now it's being used
to save the day, and it's like, oh my god, that is so cool. So again, this probably need to go back and look through all the
lots to find.
through that battle to see like, okay, what else is in this battle, and see all those other ships and pull some stuff out. So it's anyway.
All right.
Those are the things I think I forgot. So
It's a good one.
thanks for joining us for the second time.
Yes. Happy to be back.
I guess until next time, Scarface is overrated.
Keep your tickets up.
Here is something you can't understand. I think just review it, man. Here is something you can't understand. I think just review it, man. Here is something you can't understand. In Germany, they call it a Kinofilm. In California, they call it una película. No matter where you live, you love movies. So you want to listen to the Bob and Ed Movie Podcast.